what are the best training programs for roofing sales teams? The first thing to understand about this is that the training program that you're going to use for your roofing sales team needs to enforce a consultative roofing sales process. Okay. Now, what I mean by consultative, right, is it's in service of homeowner. This is actually how sales process was described by Mike Gomez of Allegro Consulting on a masterclass to me the other day. And I love the way that it's put. So I'm stealing it here. Thanks, Mike. Something that is in service of the client, here being the homeowner, because we are, again, talking strictly about residential roofing. Okay? Don't get it twisted, silly goose. So something that's in service of, something that allows you to train, adhere team to, and coach on, which means that the methodology that underpins the training program that you're going to use needs to be something that you can train your people on, that you can force adherence to, that you can judge them against, and that you can coach on. So there needs to be appropriate feedback loops for how well they worked the sales process or not. But for that to happen, it has to be a methodology that is in service of. And so maybe something that precedes this last one is a defined, because we are talking about a training process, there needs to be a defined methodology underneath it. Now, when we have a training program for roofing sales team, this typically looks like not only framework that you're using to sell, but then methodology and or frameworks around canvassing and frameworks around objection handling and obstacle overcomes and a variety of things there. It should be easy to understand, and it should be low to moderate ramp time from ground level. So the methodology needs to be that, and then the training should support that. And the reason why this is important is because if you pick a methodology that takes someone 120 days to learn, that means that you're going to have a 120-day lag to you putting someone in the field that can actually execute this, which means that your sales numbers and your sales velocity, first of all, is going to take a heck of a lot more time to get there, and you're going to have fewer people. You're going to have to interview a heck of a lot more people and put them in the pipeline for much longer on your training side before you can actually reap any rewards from them. So the timeline that you judge them probably is not as tight as us. It's going to have to be a little bit longer. So you want to make sure that this can be taught from the ground level and it's low to moderate ramp time. I would say before hire, you should know if they have, right, as Jay Bradley, a setter closer or roof nuts would call it, the attitude and belief. Now, these are two different things. I'm just putting slash for space. You should know if they have the attitude and belief before you hire them. Now, when you put them in, what we're going to look at is how well they can learn. And so for you to know how well they can learn, you have to have a methodology that is trainable, that you can coach them on, that is in service of the homeowner. So this brings me all the way back to the training program that you may want to look at for roofing sales teams. If that is the case, what you're going to want to look at is some sort of training that can either be utilized virtually. Maybe there's a one-to-many component. Maybe there's a one-to-few. Maybe there's an on-site availability. And or there's ability for leader mentorship. Okay, so what do I mean by these things? Well, I mean, there should be potentially a virtual platform that you can reference. There should be maybe a hybridized in-person or online one-to-many scenario. Maybe it's consistent coaching calls. Maybe it's webinar style. Maybe there's a one-to-few, so like cohort-based, where you can role play with a smaller subset of people. Maybe with an on-site component where you bring on Adam Bensman with his SLAP formula, the strong roofer, and you bring him on site and he trains. Maybe it's Jay Bradley with setter closer. Maybe it's Chuck Toki with top rep. Maybe you don't care about this on site because you know, you're like, hey man, our sales leadership and our sales development program is strong enough. We just may need a little bit of an ability for our leaders at the company to get mentorship. So maybe instead of someone coming on site or going and presenting to your team, maybe you're in the spot where you just need the ability for you as a leader or your sales leadership team to have Chuck or Adam Bensman or Jay Bradley to come on site, or not even on site, maybe just get on Zoom with you and pour into you and look at some of the problems that you're going to bring from your sales team on their objections, right? On their calls, on their recordings. The thing that you need to be aware of is that having outside help on objections or on calls or on recordings from any of these guys or anyone like them is going to require you to be recording everything. This means you need ride-along software, whether you're going to use it externally to the CRM or not. So when we're talking about the best training programs for roofing sales teams, it needs to be these things, right? And it needs to be some sort of offer like this on the right side. Now, depending on where you're at, where your sales skill is, where your training skill is, this is going to differ. But this on the left side is always true. You always want this. So whether you choose my guy Toki, you choose Adam, you choose Jay, I don't think Adam's even doing on-site stuff. I'm sure you can get Chuck or Jay to do that for the right amount of cash. They do have other means of fulfillment. I know that for certain because I know both of them. But regardless of what you do there, you need to make sure that you pick a training program that also right? It's very hard to adhere someone to what top reps methodology is if the sales managers and the ownership doesn't actually know what the heck it is. So you need to learn it. As a leader, you need to be able to teach it, but you may need some extra help from one of these people, right? In one of these ways. And that's totally fine. There's like coaches need coaches too. There's absolutely no reason that there should be any shame around that. You should get some help. The other thing to keep in mind though, is that regardless of who you go with, you need to be able to enable all this on the left side, inside of the software, inside of your system of record, system of action, whatever you want to call it, your CRM. You need to be able to enable this inside of your CRM. And so for me, this is going to look like a couple different things. It's going to look like all calls recorded, all text log, all emails logged, potentially summarizations, call scoring, call feedback, maybe an AI role play module inside the system, sequential rep level automations, AI agents, all of that enablement that helps you work any of these people's processes with these things in mind, with some extra coaching. You're going to want to enable that inside the CRM. And so for me, you're going to want to use ProLine CRM, right? And I get it. You're like, James, don't you work for them? You bet your ass I do. That is where I would go if I were you, to enable roofing training inside of the CRM to adhere. You want to use all the tools that the CRM has to adhere your team to that. But even if you don't use ProLine CRM, who has, the rep level, automated and manual communications, sequential, at scale, SMS, email, AI agents, even if you don't use ProLine CRM for that, you need to find a software that will let you work in tandem with what one of these three or anyone else that you choose, their methodology. You need something that works in tandem with it, because if it works counter to it, you're either going to be the outcome of their training or the outcome of the limitations of your software that you're using. Because remember, the software that you're using can absolutely make your moderate closers killers, just like a good setter can make a moderate closer a killer, or they can work against you. So regardless of what you choose, what methodology you choose, who you choose to get some extra training from, just make sure that it adheres to this on the left side, and it can be enabled by a CRM specifically for your trade. And whether that's ProLine CRM or not, totally up to you. But if nothing else, I hope that helps you better think about this, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.